My favourite part of the business is, coming up with new product ideas, new designs. And we had all these recipes, but, they were quite old and some of the ingredients, didn't sit with our values. I used to play around with different ingredients that were better, safer for people until I got it right.
So I'm going to ask my first question, which has come from a little bit of my curiosity around reading about your business and some of the content you've got on your website. So you actually purchased this business from someone else. What was the thing that attracted you to this soap manufacturing business that you've turned into the brand it currently is?
Yeah, so it was about 4.5 years ago, and I was working for a lady as a florist because when I left high school in the UK, I trained as a florist, and I was a florist for 10 years. So I was working, and she also had a manufacturing business that sold soaps and bath bombs, and she used to sell them in her florist shop. And I just fell in love with the products, and I used to sell them and buy them for myself and use them. And then she decided she wanted to concentrate on the retail side of her business and wanted to sell the manufacturing part. So it happened so quickly. I said to my husband, hey, my boss is selling the business, and we jokingly said, shall we buy it? And then it happened. And then, we just jumped on the opportunity because not really knowing what we were doing, just knowing that we, loved the products. And I never had that much experience making the products. I used to come here and help when they got really busy, but not the full-on soap make and things like that. So I had all that to learn as well. But also I was pregnant at the time. I had my first baby, so I was just about to leave my florist job to go on maternity leave, and we bought the business. So
wow. So at just the point where you were going to be winding down some of the work you were doing because you're starting your own family, you actually decide to do the opposite and own the business yourself.
The opportunity just came up, and that's it really, that we just took it. So it was a really hard time though, trying to figure out how to be a mum and run a business, which I pretty much didn't know how to do either at the start. So it was a big learning curve for me, and it was hard work, but I don't regret doing it. It's been a great journey.
So when you buy a business, usually there's a whole due diligence phase of seeing what the company does and who's employed there. But you actually had all of that trust and belief already because you were on the inside. You were already an employee. What did you have to learn on the manufacturing side of the business to get you up to speed with the areas that you weren't working on day to day?
Yeah, we were really lucky because the staff stayed on, so they taught me a lot. So I pretty much came in and they taught me everything from scratch, like how to do the soap make, which we make 100 kgs of soap in one batch. So it's the way we make it is quite unique to other soapers. So it's not like you could just go YouTube and Google and find out how to make soap. It was quite a complex recipe. So I learned all that, and there was all these recipes to follow. And the first time I made a bath bomb, I just couldn't do it. It just fell to bits. So I went to we're looking at Freya. She still works for us today, and she's been promoted to production manager. And she was the bath bomb queen. She could just knock them out so fast, and she taught me how to make bath bombs. So really lucky that the staff were here, and then as the time went on, we kind of changed directions of the business. We were more a contract manufacturer, and we used to make for the previous owner as well, but then we developed the R brand didn't come along until maybe 2 years into owning the business. So then we created a whole new product range just for the R products.
So what was that process like? Because this is the first time you get to put your own real stamp on the business to make it yours.
yeah, it was awesome because, you know, I'm naturally creative being a florist. So my favorite part of the business is, you know, coming up with new product ideas, new designs. And we had all these recipes, but, you know, they were quite old and some of the ingredients, you know, didn't sit with our values. So I'm not a chemist, but I used to play around with different ingredients that were better, safer for people. Used to, yeah, just played around for ages and until I got it right. Different fragrances. And yeah, that's the fun part. That's what I enjoy doing most, really. Is the creative.
What would be one of the products that, when you branded as Ahhh, that you introduced to the market that you were really proud of?
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, we started off with just soaps and bath bombs because that's what we knew what we were making. But, you know, the shampoo bars and conditioner bars, like super proud that we launched in New World. Like we were the first shampoo bar in grocery at the time, like just making something that's not that used yet, in a shelf full of plastic bottles, and then there's our little Ahhh shampoo bar sitting next to it on the shelf. Like that's a super proud moment for me, like just making it a bit more accessible for everyday families and, you know, mums like me that are too busy, like they want to make a better choice, but, you know, you just have to go to the supermarket and grab what you can sometimes. So having it there on the supermarket shelf, like that's probably my proudest moment. And then also the solid moisturisers, like that one here. So like I came up with the recipe myself, and it took me forever, like so long, because it's basically equal to 2 bottles of liquid moisturiser, but trying to get the consistency right so it's not too hard or waxy, and, you know, it glides on your skin right, and it actually works. Like that's really important. Like there's a lot of you know, trying to be sustainable with products that you know, they actually have to work well as well, otherwise people aren't going to switch over. And yeah, so the lotions actually won an award recently, the NZ Artisan Awards. So yeah, that was super, something that I created completely by myself. Won an award. That's another big proud moment for me. Yeah.
Awesome. What is the benefit with that solid moisturizer, for example, that you just showed? What's the benefit of having it in solid form? Is it so it's more portable, or is it just for the environmental reasons, or are there other reasons?
I guess like the sustainability part is, you know, it's zero plastic. The pot is completely home compostable, so you can, once it's gone, it's zero waste. There's you don't have to recycle it. You can just pop it in your compost bin. You can even grow like little seedlings in it and then put it in your garden. And you know, a lot of moisturizers in plastic bottles are full of water, so you don't really need that water. So it's quite bulky, so it's smaller. You can put it in your bag, go to the gym. Yeah, you don't have to carry a big plastic bottle around with heaps of water, which you don't need really. Yeah.
Now there was another product I saw on your site, and I just loved the description was lip kissable hydrating lip balm. What's the secret to making great lip balm? Because there's a lot on the market.
We don't actually do lip balms yet. It might have been what we're planning on doing. So
yes, it is actually. It's under our plans. My apologies. It says, yeah, we're starting with a lip kissable hydrating lip balm contained in a compostable packaging. So that's something that's coming.
Yeah, so we're working on it. They'll be very similar to the lotions, but in a smaller package. So yeah, but I mean, we've had a few issues with, because these ones you push up the bottom. So with the lip balm tubes, because they're smaller, it's a bit trickier, and you know, it has to be really perfect and right before we launch it, and it's just finding the right container for it. But we've got the recipe ready to go.
Because packaging is such a big part of getting your product seen and trusted. How did you get your product out to market? Like, what were the channels where actually you started to get sales and get some traction?
I guess building a bit of a following on social media. I did a bit of that for my previous owner as well, so I learned the basics, and I do all the social media myself. I don't really know, like I think, we did enlist a PR company, so that definitely helped, and just to get us in front of some media, and we work with some influencers that that we call them our ambassadors. So it's really important that they actually love the product. Like, I wouldn't just send product to people and if they didn't actually like the product, for them to promote it. So yeah, everyone that posts about our products online, like, I know that they really love using. They do use the product every day, and like their family, people, like their kids use it and the moms use it. So it's nice. And we're just building a bit of a following online, and with myself posting, I think it comes across a bit more relatable and authentic, because
that's the way to do social media. Is I always say the most senior person in the company, if you can have that person have some direct access, then the audience really respects that voice, because it's the voice of someone who can listen to the feedback and make changes to the product.
Yeah, I love talking to the customers, and it's the best way to do it on there. Yeah, I really enjoy doing that.
Now, you joined New Zealand Made at the end of last year. What was the reason for that?
So it's been on my list of things to do for about 3 years, I think. I knew that, I was like, I should do that, and, being busy and trying to grow the business, like, things just drop off my list every now and again. So it was just one of those things, and I think I just got round to it. I was like, okay, I really need to do this. It's important. It's such a big selling point for us being New Zealand made. We need to showcase it a bit more, and that's I finally did it, and it was such an easy process. I was like, oh, that didn't take long at all. So I don't know why I didn't do it sooner.
It's hard in business though, isn't it? When there's so much competing for your attention, and there's a lot of working in the business, making sure that the team's happy, making sure that you've got enough ingredients and supply, and then making sure there's enough sales to cover the costs of the supply and the salaries. And then you've got growth, and then you've got all these other businesses trying to sell you things. So how did you cope through the COVID year that we had in 2020? What did that free up some space to think about things?
Not really. I feel really fortunate that we could actually still operate during COVID, like all the lockdowns, because we supply supermarkets, and it's soap. Like, soap's pretty important at the moment. And we used to supply soap to the supermarkets, and I actually thought we would be really quiet, and I was worried. But, the supermarkets still kept ordering, and we had to keep supplying them. But we just figured out a way so only one person would come into the factory at a time. Like, luckily we had plenty of stock made, so it was pretty much just waiting to give it to the couriers when the orders came in. But having, especially level 4, having my husband was working from home as well, because he has a corporate job, and we've got 2 little kids, and they couldn't go to daycare, so it was trying to both work and juggle the kids. Like, that was the hardest for us. So there's a lot of night shifts at the factory for me. And like, my team were amazing. Like, we just figured it out. One person would go in at a time and get it sorted. But it was but I just feel so lucky that we actually did quite well through it compared to some businesses.
What advice would you have for someone that is at the start of the journey that you were at 4 or 5 years ago as an employee, thinking, actually, I want to strike out on my own, I want to start my own business? Now that you've been through that journey and you've made your own mark on the business, what advice have you got for that part of the audience?
I guess the biggest thing I would say is, with all your failures, like, there's probably, I had a lot of failures, but I don't view them as failures. your mindset. You need to think of them as learning opportunities, I think, and just not give up. Like, if I could have given up so many times, like, you know, the struggles with like juggling motherhood and trying to grow a business. Yeah, it's, and ask for help. Like, I was always and thought, oh, you know, I can do it myself. I need to do it myself. I need to learn this. But, you know, you'd be surprised if you ask people for help, what advice they're going to give you and how much you can learn from other people. And I mean, it's only recently, the last year or two, that I've took that advice myself. And, you know, I think it was because we're getting to the point where I actually physically can't do everything myself. Like, we have to outsource things and ask for help. And, you know, we've grown to a point now where my husband is, you know, he's just handed in his notice at his corporate job and he's going to join the business full time soon. So
fantastic.
Yeah, happened like pretty much just last week. So it's really exciting. And yeah, and the thought of having all this extra support in the business now for me is really exciting. So I can concentrate on the stuff I love, like creating new products. And yeah, so I'm working on the business, not so much in the business and the daily grind all the time.
That's a really exciting part of the journey. And I think what's really interesting about your insights there is you've thought it through about what you love to do, and that you're willing to let go of the things that you don't want to do. And obviously the business is at a stage where you can get more resourcing in, resource being your husband. What does he want to do, and what are you going to put him to work doing?
So he's sales. He's all about sales. He's got big plans. Well, we've both got big plans. Like, we want to launch in Australia. Like, we want to be a global brand, basically. So yeah, we've grown on a New Zealand distribution, and now we want Ahhh to be worldwide, and that's what he's good at. So I mean, I think it'll be tricky managing, working together, living together, because we're quite opposite people. Like, I mean, he helps out already, but this will be his full-time job, and you know, trying to manage that and kids and family time. That's going to be our biggest challenge, I think, in the next few months.
Well, good luck on that journey, and congratulations for the journey so far, and for taking the plunge at a time where many would have said, let's just let this opportunity go by, let's just do one thing. You decided to do both. You came out the other end and then did the brand a couple of years later, and now to be the main income for the family. That's a fantastic testament to the investment and time into the team and into the product. So good luck on the journey. I'll be looking forward to receiving a one of those lip balms when you get the packaging just right. And thanks very much for being on a Kiwi Original. Really looking forward to sharing this with the New Zealand made fans.
Cool, thank you. It was great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching this episode of a Kiwi Original. If you like what you saw, then hit the subscribe button and you'll get other episodes just like this one in your inbox. Make sure you hit the bell too for notifications, and you'll be served up uniquely Kiwi stories like this one, contributing to New Zealand's future.